What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the Beat of KC. Today, we have an absolute phenomenal guest. I can't thank him enough for coming on. Holy smokes. Honestly, when I, attempted to reach out to Sterling and he gave me a response back, I was like, let's do this, man. I was super pumped. So, Sterling Holmes coming on the show. He is a co-host of Darren and Sterling. He is also a contributor to Arrowhead Addict and does also Insider Royals. Can't thank you enough for coming on, man. What's going on?
Dude, thanks for having me. I'm stoked to be here. I'm excited.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. We got a lot to talk about, honestly. I was excited to talk to you about Mondesi. We kind of talked a little bit beforehand. I was excited to talk Mondesi, a little bit of the Royals, but then everything happens with the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's like, all right, we got some stuff more to talk about. So we're going to dive into it all. I do want to open it up. You introducing a little bit of yourself and kind of giving everybody your social media. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at HomestretchKC. If you want to, you can a lot of times find me on Sports Radio 810. I do a lot of Royals pregame shows there. I do Darren and Sterling on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM daily from 3 to 4 p.m. But if you want to find me, just go to my Twitter. It's all there. It's easy. Just do that.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Well, I appreciate it. And let's dive into this. So first up, I do want to talk Chiefs. And the reason is because obviously we're getting ready to head into training camp. One of the most significant parts of an NFL season is training camp. You get to see everyone kind of come together. You're really going into it. You get to kind of have an idea of what to expect for who's going to be playing what positions. We kind of have some shakeups, some injuries happen. Kyle Long goes down. What are your thoughts there at that right guard position? Obviously, LDT comes back, says he's in the best shape that he's ever been in. Was doing some crazy workouts on his deck during the pandemic. Obviously, Trey Smith, we draft him. Guy's a freaking stud, just a mauler, pushes through. So what are your thoughts going into this, training camp, at least with that left guard position? Or excuse me, right guard position. Sorry.
Yeah. Joe Tooney's locked up. We got Tooney over there. Don't worry about that side.
Yeah.
Right guard though. Trey Smith. That's the obvious fun answer here. That's the way I'm going. I've heard people say LDT because they want the veteran presence. They want the guy who's not a rookie. I understand that, but he wasn't good before he took a year off. Everyone's remembering him multiple years ago. He's not the same guy. I don't see him all of a sudden bouncing back to 2018 LDT. I don't think that's happening. If it wasn't for his contract and the feel-good story, I could easily see him being a roster casualty, but because of his contract, I think he's here this season. I would like to see Lucas Niang. I just want to see him on the field, whether that's at right tackle or right guard. And again, Niang for sure could be the week one right tackle, but I would also feel comfortable with the Rimmers there. I think Trey Smith, though, has the inside route of being week one starter at right guard, barring any blood clots, any medical issues.
Most definitely, man. And, I think that's kind of unique because putting him in there at right guard, you're also going to be getting a little bit of pressure from Chris Jones at times. I mean, that's who he's going to kind of be lining up at times. You have obviously Derek Nottie there as well. I mean, those guys are veterans, but we know what Chris Jones provides. So I think that's also going to help Trey Smith be able to take it to that next level. And I think, when I was doing videos for the channel, that's something that I've always talked about with these rookies, even Creed Humphrey, is the fact that they're going against some very, very good veterans, and that's going to only help build them up. Plus, they have the mentorship from the senior leadership on that offensive line. So like Joe Tooney, Austin Blythe is obviously still going to be able to assist with Creed Humphrey and stuff like that. So
who do you think starts week one? Okay, there we go. We'll start with that. Do you think is going to be Austin Blythe or Creed Humphrey starting at center week one?
I do think Creed beats him out. I think the ability to be able to snap with both hands, I think the wrestling background and the ability to just be the way he moves in some of his highlights is incredible. I don't want to discredit Austin Blythe by no means because I think he is a decent center, but you don't go out and draft Creed Humphrey where you draft him and then expect him to just kind of, I think, hang out. I think you push him and I think he definitely started week one. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. Austin Blythe was a fine, minimal upgrade from Austin Ryder. I've been calling for Austin Ryder being the weak link for ever since he took over. I said he's fine, he's okay in pass protection, but run blocking he is abysmal. And we saw time and time again the Chiefs struggling to pick up short yarded situations. I think he was the one guy you could point to where you say, hey, he's getting zero push up front. Well, Blythe was a minimal upgrade, but he again was, I think, what, 1.5 million. That's basically saying that's a flyer. Yeah. That's okay, if you're here, we're okay with it, but don't get too comfortable. They got Creed Humphrey. I'm with you. He just jumps off the tape. I'm extremely excited. And to me, if Creed Humphrey starting and Trey Smith are starting, both of those guys, that's a good sign because that means both those rookies had to beat out multiple guys for that starting position. So it's not just going to be handed to them. And that to me is what's so impressive.
For sure. And, I kind of questioned it now that we've gotten this far and to this point. And I wonder, honestly, if they got Blythe just in case they weren't able to get like Creed Humphrey, their guy. And so if that just didn't fall the way they wanted to in the draft, they're like, well, we went ahead and signed Austin Blythe. He's going to be like a 1-year patch job. And maybe we can figure it out, moving forward. But then Creed was sitting there and they're like, let's do it. So I think that as it kind of played out, I think that in my mind is how I thought it went. But, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that maybe potentially is what happened?
100%. You didn't want to be pigeonholed going in saying, we have to draft our guy at this spot. And if he's not there, well, we're screwed. Yeah. Same kind of Orlando Brown's another situation. That's why you bring him in. So you're not pigeonholed saying, we have to draft a left tackle. That has to be our first draft pick. We just have to do it.
Yeah.
This allows you to not be pigeonholed. You can go any way. They went linebacker first. I'm a Mizzou guy, so obviously I'm extremely excited with Nick Bolton. But and then you, just to me, I think it was a masterful job of Brett Veach playing the market, finding the value, but not saying, okay, we got our center for 1.5 million. We have to play him. No, go with the best guy who's best for this team.
For sure. I 100% agree with that. And I think that's where the Chiefs and I also think, where Veach is starting to get a little bit better, and it's not necessarily that they're drafting for a overly like the hole is there and they need to fill that spot because it was there originally at left tackle, but they obviously go get Orlando Brown. Now I think we're going to start to see Veach really capitalize and be able to draft players that are best at that position. And I think moving forward, I hope that's how they continue to do it because I think you're going to be able to build a pretty solid team. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's kind of what the New England Patriots did for a very long time is they weren't drafting necessarily for a need. They were just drafting the best player to fill a slot. And those guys were young and youth, and then they were able to really capitalize on the salary cap and things like that. So,
yeah, I mean, to me, in any sport, but especially in football, I always say outside of quarterback typically, when you have Patrick Mahomes, you're okay. I like always doing best available. Yep. Like I'm always a fan of doing best available in a sport where injuries and turnover, contracts, just there's so many different factors. Best available to me always makes the most sense. I do got to say though, you think Russell Wilson's just punching the air right now? How pissed off is Russell Wilson? For years, he's been screaming, give me some offensive line help. Nada, nothing. Yeah. One game where already the entire offensive line was already banged up for Kansas City. But in one game, Patrick goes, I could use some help up front. Entire overhaul. I mean, Kansas City, the entire front office, Brett Veach, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, just everyone's all on the same page. That's extremely rare to have in an organization, and you're already seeing it pay off in dividends.
Most definitely. And I think that was one of the most significant things is to see how quickly they addressed it too. And Eric Fisher was a good left tackle while he was here. I don't want to discredit him at all. I mean, I think that he definitely had his moments, but Eric Fisher provided us some good stuff. Mitchell Schwartz did the same thing. I mean, those guys, thank you for your time. But it's time to revamp and get going. And that's what was most incredible. I think the most significant picture that is out there is when Patrick Mahomes is basically horizontal with the ground, trying to attempt a pass, throwing it and it just deflected in the end zone. And that just showed you right there how much he was pressured in the Super Bowl. So like you said, man, I could not agree more. And I'm glad this was addressed. I'm excited to switch over on the other side of the football. I wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about the situation that occurred yesterday. I did do a YouTube video, and it was about obviously Frank Clark. Now, this is his second offense. And the reason why I'm going to ask you this question is because, truthfully, a lot of people who have commented on the video say they don't want Frank Clark on the team anymore. And as I'm kind of going through and I'm listening to their comments, I'm trying to justify, are they doing it because of the action, or are they doing it because of his production on the field and what we are paying him? And it sounds like to me it's the production aspect. But what are your thoughts on that? Obviously, we know Frank Clark did make a mistake and he did it again. And this is a big time mistake. He hasn't been producing on the field the way $100 million DN pass rusher should be doing. What are your thoughts on that?
Dude isn't getting it done for $8 million a year. I mean, an idiot. 2 times in 3 months. Yeah. You live in California. It's not like you're from Missouri and where it's legal and you know what's going on. You grew up in California. You live in California. You're blaming it on your bodyguard. Well, newsflash, and why is the bodyguard not in jail? And it's you. Just to me, first, you didn't think to zip the duffel bag up. It was just laying there, and so many things had to go awry for this to happen. It just exemplifies maybe he's not, I don't know. He's not the smartest guy, obviously.
Yeah.
We saw the same pass rush move time and time again. So,
oh, God.
I mean, and again, it's tough to completely bleep on the move because the Chiefs did win a Super Bowl and he was a huge factor in the playoffs. I will 100% agree. But does those 3 games make up for $100 million, a loss of a first and second round draft pick, the off the field issues? To me, if I'm Kansas City, if there's a way to get out from underneath this contract because of these 2 off the field issues, you do it in a heartbeat. I mean, You're already moving on after this year. We know this is Frank's last year in Kansas City. This for him is a contract year. For sure. I think, to me, it's an audition for other teams. He's blowing it. He's going to end up going Bashad Breeland, where you have an off the field issue. You're now signing a series of 1-year under market deals. Not only that, has he seen the market for aging pass rushers? I mean, Justin Houston and Melvin Ingram have been more effective than him, especially Justin Houston has been over the time. He's been in Indy, and Frank Clark's been in Kansas City.
Yes. Those
guys remain unsigned. Like Frank, not a good move, not a good look. Not a good look for Kansas City. Just really quickly, I know I'm going off a tangent here. I understand this.
You're good.
But his comments the week before were really frustrating. The week before, he's like, well, I was getting double teamed. They were double teaming Chris and me. No, they were doubling Chris. They weren't doubling you. It's like me playing with Michael Jordan and saying we. Like, no, it was Michael Jordan and me. It's not a we thing, okay? And that just really upset me. I just thought it was really silly, and I'm getting more upset than I should. But when you're getting paid all this money, you can't figure out your stomach issues. You're having off the field issues. You're not putting up on the field. I have trouble having a whole bunch of sympathy.
And I think you nailed it. And I think what the biggest issue I have is the fact that he definitely only has 1 pass rush, and that's the bull rush. And then he gets pushed 50 yards out of the play and somehow finds his way back in, and that's how he gets his sacks. If he jumps on the back and rides him for like 5 yards. I mean, I guess I can say coming in, I was excited for the trade just because, it was something new, it was fresh, and we knew that, just the excitement. I think they also have tried to help him in the fact that they go get Reed. They signed Taco Charlton, who was with him there in Michigan. So I think that they've tried multiple ways to really assist him in becoming the player that they were hoping when they signed him to that $100 million deal. It's not working. I've heard a ton of different things from social media to all kinds of videos and stuff. I've heard that they have a chance to get out of it now based on a contract, him breaching the contract and things like that.
That's very, very, the NFLPA would have a field day. Because trust me, we looked into it at the radio station. We're all trying to find
yeah,
by kind of talking it over. If you're Kansas City and you do cut him for something like this, for contract detrimental to the team, if that's what you want to call it,
yeah,
a lot of guys in the NFL are in the NFL for doing a lot more.
yes,
You know, like a lot of guys have been a lot more and not gotten cut.
yes,
If you're a free agent and they see Kansas City cuts a guy for doing something of this, where it's not a DUI, it's not a domestic abuse, it's something that's honestly legal in the state they play in. How many free agents are going to say, do I really want to go to a team where they could potentially cut me for a minor
yeah,
thing?
yeah. No, I agree, and I think that's where it's definitely gonna be a fine line. I think the Chiefs are definitely, they were joking that Veach was on vacation, and he immediately gets called in, and they're going in and evaluating, every situation, circumstance. I would. I think that they would definitely take this a little bit more seriously just because of what happened with Andy's son and the vehicle incident. Now they have Frank Clark back, within 3 months getting gun charges. I mean, these are felony charges. This is a significant deal, even, it is California. But I think that, and then obviously to kick it even back to Kareem Hunt, and not saying that this is by any means a Kareem Hunt situation, but we saw how that was immediately addressed and handled. I'd be kind of curious to see how they move forward with him, and even the NFL. I think they want the NFL to handle it first, because I'm definitely seeing a suspension coming. Just because, in my opinion, it wouldn't have been a big deal if it was just once, but the fact that it happened again in 3 months, I mean, you didn't learn from the first go. So that's where I'm kind of thinking that they're going to be like, hey, we're going to slap you on the hand, at least pay attention to what you're doing, man, and then they'll go on from there for sure. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was thinking 4 games, kind of Bashad Breeland. 4 games seems to be the going rate for stuff like this. So I would assume Frank Clark's going to miss the first 4 games. I would assume Kansas City recoups however much money a quarter that is, whether that's $5 million. I don't know all the. If you ever look at the NFL salary caps, it's astounding how in depth. It's all funny money. Like,
it is.
Brett Veach spent like $1 billion when he couldn't buy a PS4. Like, they're wizards. Like, it's none of the money is real. It is what it is. But I would assume, just in my opinion, it'd be a 4-game suspension.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. That led me to the next piece. If they do find a way to move some money based on this, I would definitely like to see a Honey Badger extension. We know that Patrick Mahomes comes out and is like, I want this guy here as long as I am. Realistically, that's probably not going to happen, but I like the enthusiasm. I mean, we know Patrick says the things that everybody wants to hear, just like the 20-0. Are you wanting the Honey Badger here? And if so, how long, what is a realistic contract you think he would get?
Yes, I want him here. I think, really quickly, maybe Mahomes is saying when he retires from playing coordinator, I would love to see Honey Badger as a coordinator. I think he'd be a fantastic member of the coaching staff. Everyone looks to him, turns to him as a player. I think the same would be said if he is a coach. Maybe a similar deal. I don't know if $3 million or 3-year, $42 million, if that would get it done. I know he wants to be the highest paid safety. He's already, I believe it was 4th or 5th. I think Justin Simmons, I don't have it in front of me. But I think Justin Simmons may have been the Broncos safety at like 15.25 per season. If you got to give him 15.26 just to make Tyron happy, I would. I mean, what's that 1.5 really in the grand scheme of things? You're recouping maybe some of that money from Frank. So if you're going to go out and get Julio and make that work, you can make an extension for Tyron work. Yeah. I get it. You don't want to overpay, but I think just to me, he's such a difference maker.
For sure.
That I think it's worth it.
And I think how his initial tweet where he's kind of upset and throwing a fit in a way, and but then his MO completely changes the other day. So that tells me a couple things. I do believe that they are negotiating, or at least talking. And if he's that excited and believes something's going to happen, I'm sure the dollars are looking pretty good too, because I don't think he would have said anything to the extent that he did. If it really wasn't to his liking, I think you would have just kind of got like, yeah, maybe we're talking or something. But he seemed pretty ecstatic about it just by the vibe I was getting. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think he's getting kind of what he's wanting then?
Yeah, I would assume so because he's a guy who's very outspoken, whether you like it or not. Personally, I like it. I like a guy who says what he means. Sometimes he may say too much, but at least as someone in the media, someone who is a fan, it's still fun. Like you want to see a guy show emotion and actually care about the team he's playing for. It's not like the New York Jets where everyone wants out. It's Kansas City. Everyone wants in. They want to win a Super Bowl, and he wants to be a major part of that.
For
So
sure.
I like this. I like this.
For sure. All right. Well, we're going to shift it a little bit. We're still going to stick with the Chiefs, but we're going to be talking about the whole thing, the big picture. And what I mean by that is, every time I have somebody on for an interview, I ask them this question so far. It's kind of a two-parter. Number one, which game are you like looking forward to the most from an overall, like, I'm just excited. I think the hype around it is there. I think more than just the Kansas City and the away teams, fan bases are going to be watching. This game is going to have an impact on, just football itself. People are going to be tuning in. Which one are you looking forward to the most from that aspect?
It could be cliche. People have been saying it for years. I like the Ravens game still
Okay. Okay.
because if Kansas City continues their dominance over the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, it'll finally be time for the NFL to shut up and stop saying Lamar Jackson and Patrick's the next Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. No, because someone has to win eventually. It can't all be one-sided. So my goal is Kansas City wins again.
Yeah.
My hope is, I guess, and they can just shut up and stop pushing Lamar and Patrick, because at some point it's all one-sided.
Yeah.
It's all one-sided. And nothing against Lamar, nothing against the Ravens. They're a very good football team, but it's been proven time and time again so far, Kansas City is one step ahead.
For sure. And we're going into their house. And I think to solidify that, if
I feel like we're always, in Baltimore. It's like when we played New England, when the Chiefs played New England for so long, it seemed like we're always in New England. I'm like,
always.
When does Kansas City get their home game?
Yeah. Most definitely. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we go into their place and do it again, I think that needs to be squashed just for the time being, for sure. Now, the next part to this question is from a fan perspective, just a fan of football. Yeah. Which game are you looking forward to the most? Like, I'll give you my example, and most people are like, what? I'm a big Jalen Hurts guy. I like Jalen Hurts coming out of Oklahoma. So I'm definitely looking forward to just the Philly game. Andy's going back. They go out and draft Devonta Smith, and I'm just excited to see the Eagles play the Chiefs. So from a fan perspective, which game are you looking forward to?
What week do they play the Bills? What week is that?
I'd have to check.
I'm pulling it up right now. That's week. Oh my gosh. That's preseason 1, 2, 3, 4. Week 5, the week after.
Okay.
Week 5 in Kansas City.
Yes.
That game.
Okay.
I have been a huge supporter of the Bills because I think they are building the team the right way. Yes. I really enjoy Josh Allen. Seeing his growth has been tremendous. I've been on the Josh Allen train for, 3 years now. It was a matter of time before I saw him break out.
Yeah.
That game to me, I still think Kansas City wins, but I've said last year and I'll say this year too, I think they're the second best team, the Bills, in the AFC.
Yeah. Okay. I could definitely go with that. Are you kind of leaning a little bit on the Tennessee train? I know this kind of broke off a little bit.
No, the Titans are bums.
Yeah.
That defense, don't get me wrong. The offense is great. It'll be fun. A.J. Brown, Julio Jones. But to me, they have a little 2018 Chiefs feel to it where great offense, sure, explosive. That defense, though, they struggle. I know they got Bud Dupree, but that secondary was, I want to say, 29th or 31st out of 32nd in the NFL last year. I don't see that changing overnight. I think they'll get torched over the top again.
Yeah.
I just can't see Tennessee being a huge factor against really good teams.
I'll tell you my perspective because I think I'm right there with you. My only concern is it just takes enough to get into the playoffs, and then we see Tennessee click and then turn it on. And we've seen that a couple times where that's kind of happened, and then they end up losing in a certain situation. But I just, if at all possible, I think if they get to the playoffs, I think they could potentially be a threat. I know a lot of people are like the Cleveland Browns, and it's
No.
like, we'll have to wait and see that first game. And if Frank is suspended, I'll be interested to see, because I do think their offensive line's gotten a little bit better. We understand that they love to run the football. And they're getting Odell back. They got Jarvis, so it'll be interesting just to see how that game goes about. But yeah, man, I'm a little nervous on the Titans, but I think if they get to the playoffs. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and shift gears again, because I don't want to keep you here until the morning. So we're going to talk a little bit of Royals. Kansas City kind of has had its ups and downs, and I do a live stream with another YouTuber, Michael Darcy. He runs a channel called KC Sports Report. We kind of been doing a live stream every Monday, and the last live stream, it was titled, we kind of called inconsistency. And I'm just going to leave it at that. What are your thoughts on just that word describing the Kansas City Royals?
I think it perfectly encapsulates this team.
Yes.
Brady Singer, Chris Bubich, the pitching staff in general. Brad Keller has shown he can throw gems, and he's shown he can get shelled. The entire offense, even Whit Merrifield to an extent this year, has been up and down. Benintendi started off slow, then he was on fire, then he got hurt. Alberto Mondesi looks like an MVP candidate in the 9 games he's played in, but it's been 9 games.
Yeah.
Salvador Perez and Carlos Santana have only been the 2, I would say, consistent guys. Santana's been solid but unspectacular. Salvador Perez, in my opinion, is the best catcher in baseball.
Yeah.
JT Realmuto, fantastic. I understand that, but look at the numbers. Yes. Look offensively. Look at who comes up. If you had just right here, if you had one game, you got to win one game, who you picking? I think almost everyone would pick Salvi. And that to me is why I would say Salvi's the best catcher in baseball.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely have to agree with that. I'm a big Salvador Perez fan. I mean, I think that just what he provides, even outside of the game of baseball, just his excitement, his enthusiasm, just to be who he is and talk to people, and just you see things where he's always giving back and stuff too. I think that's what's unique as well. Now, obviously, I have to ask you this. I can already kind of imagine where you're going to go with it, but if you had to pick Jorge Soler to hit a home run, what are your odds? And if you had to bet against him, what are you doing? I mean, what do you?
Well, I am betting against him.
Yeah, for sure. So what are your honest thoughts on Jorge Soler? Because we see what he was capable of doing the year he set the Royals record, but then this year it's like if you threw him out of a boat in the ocean, he's not hitting water. He's not. And I can't for the life of me. I don't know if it's Terry Bradshaw. I don't know if the guy just decided to take a season off. I just, for the life of me, cannot figure out why Jorge Soler just can't hit. So what are your thoughts on Jorge?
He takes the same swing on every single pitch. It's never, all right, let me go to right center. It's let me try and hit a ball 520 feet when he doesn't need to. He can hit home runs swinging 75, 80%, but for some reason he wants to hit these mammoth tape measuring bombs. It's not necessary. It's worth one run. If it's a solo shot, like you don't get extra runs for the extra distance. Like I just don't understand this. This is a contract year. He has not lived up to the task. He has zero trade value. We saw Chris Davis, not the Chris Davis for the Orioles, but Chris Davis for the Texans or
the Rangers.
The Rangers. Thank you. He got cut. I mean, that's a very similar comp.
Yes.
If the Royals had someone knocking on the door in the outfield or at DH, I think that he would be cut. But the Royals don't really have anyone pushing him out. It's not like Hunter Dozier is out here just lighting the world on fire to be a right fielder or DH. I mean, Nick Prano, but he's still a first baseman, and you're not going to rush him up.
Yeah.
It's basically Soler's spot, and you hope he figures it out, but I just don't think it happens.
I'd be interested to see because, we seem to, and when I say we, I mean mostly Dayton Moore, seems to get attached in a way to players where it's almost like he realizes what he's visually seeing, but it's like an emotional, like sentimental attachment. And I think at times he forgets that this is a business as well, and you're trying to be successful. And I mean, a perfect example is going to be how he handles a Mondesi situation because we're coming up on arbitration. We're coming up realistically on a contract. They've been talking extensions, the idea of it. I think another situation is Jorge Soler. How do they handle his situation moving forward? I mean, that is just a really bad one. And you can see how he shows loyalty when you bring back a Greg Holland, you bring back a Wade Davis, you bring back Alcides Escobar for the holy smokes. Gerard Dyson. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I'm just going to be kind of like hopeful that they don't make a mistake. But a part of me is like, I think that this could happen and they could make a mistake. What are your thoughts on that?
I would love a Mondesi extension.
Really?
I guess I'm the few who still believe in him. People who say there's not a roster spot for Mondesi. Well, you still have O'Hearn on this team. You still have Kelvin Gutierrez on this team. You still have Michael A. Taylor on this team. You have a plethora of guys who aren't performing.
Yes.
Okay. For the people who say, well, you can't afford him. Well, you could if you weren't giving extensions to dudes who hit 157 and Hunter Dozier.
Yes.
And then the people that say, well, he can only stay healthy for 60 games a season. Well, wouldn't you rather have 60 games of awesomeness and then 100 games of average rather than 162 games of average? Like, give me Mondesi, let him figure it out. Like, the talent's there.
Yeah.
You just know. And a good comparison is Lorenzo Cain. Obviously, Lorenzo Cain was never as much on the IL as Mondesi. There's a good I forget who it was, but they went through all the injuries of Lorenzo Cain compared to Mondesi. Mondesi's had more in a shorter time. I get that, but I think it's a very fair comparison because a lot of them were soft tissue injuries.
Yeah.
Let Mondesi do some yoga. Put him in yoga or Pilates. Let him figure it out. But I'm not going to give up on someone who has the highest potential, and that's including Bobby Witt and the entire Royal system, just because we're pissed off that he can't stay healthy.
And I agree with you. I'd like to see Mondesi stay, but I think at some point you have to start discussing with him a position change.
Yeah.
And then I also think you have to have honestly a heart-to-heart sit-down talk and be like, look, man, we need to definitely understand the difference between being injured and being hurt. Yeah. And there's players that go out there and they play hurt all the time because they want to win ball games, but they also understand what they're providing a team. Some of these injuries that he gets, I understand an oblique. I've played baseball. I get it. When you mess up an oblique, it hurts. But some of these like hamstring situations, maybe you just lay off like stealing bags a little bit, or maybe you loosen up on some things a little bit, but you still are out there being able to perform and hit because we know what you got. I think that's my biggest issue, is that he doesn't understand the difference between being hurt and injured. And then I also think that we're getting to the point where we have to evaluate, yes, he is the best talent at shortstop, but Bobby Witt is coming. We see what he's doing. And I think it's time to really be like, look, man, we might have to adjust you. We may have to put you at second base. You may be playing center field. You might become that utility guy, and we got to put Bobby Witt there, man. And so what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm with you, because right now it seems like the Royals want to move Bobby Witt Jr. just to make Mondesi happy. But at some point, it's all right. Well, Bobby Witt Jr. is a phenomenal shortstop defensively as well. Maybe we give Bobby Witt Jr. the shortstop spot because we're hoping we can. So far in small sample size, we've seen him be able to stay healthy. Let's move Mondesi off. I would like center field, Mondesi in center. If he can eventually track balls, that seems easy fix. Okay, he's obviously getting hurt throwing the ball at some of these plays at shortstop. Move him to center. Yeah. You think that speed would play? I do. That athleticism will transfer all over. Put him at second. Put him at third. Make him a souped-up Marwin. Was it Marwin Gonzalez?
Yeah.
Make him a souped-up Marwin Gonzalez. That, to me, makes a lot of sense. And that keeps him fresh, keeps everyone fresh. Put him at DH if you need to. If Whit Merrifield has a first baseman's glove, give Mondesi a first baseman. If that's what it takes to keep him healthy, do it.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the spots that I really would like to see Monty play is third base. Just put him out there. You don't have to necessarily have tremendous range. You just have to be able to have those fast twitch, reactive muscles. I definitely think he has that because some of the crazy plays he's able to make is just phenomenal. And we saw Mike Moustakas play third base at a very elite level at times. Mondesi is obviously way more athletic than Mike Moustakas. So I think Monty would play a good third base. You're not as, moving as much. So there's a less risk for some of those injuries. I'd like to see him play there, but I would love to see him in center field. Like you said, I mean, you're seeing the speed that Gerard Dyson still has to this day and is flying around. And that's definitely something that you don't want to, lose. So, but yeah, let's transition a little bit, man. I'm excited to talk to you about draft, and the draft is coming up. I don't know how much you really kind of pay attention. The College World Series is going on. Um, Obviously I would assume you've heard some of the big names. You got Jack Leiter, you got Kumar Rocker, some of these young high school studs. Are you excited for the draft? And if so, is there any specific player that you would just love the Royals to take?
Leiter or Rocker. Everyone keeps mocking Rocker to 7 now to Kansas. It was, I believe, to Kansas City. I'm getting stoked. I get the concern. His fastball, there's been a lot of variation in the velocity. I get that.
Yeah.
But that talent is undeniable. Like, he has legitimate number one stuff.
Yes.
I would be all for that. You could never have too much pitching. They always say pitching is the currency in Major League Baseball.
Yes.
You've seen the Indians just churn through starting pitch and not have to pay the top guys because you know why? Someone else is waiting in the wings taking over. They've done a very good job of that. The Mets tried to, but of course they all got hurt except for Jacob deGrom, and even he seems like he gets hurt every other week. Just ask my fantasy baseball team. But just to me, I would still be okay with a starting pitcher, college guy. The Royals are not in my opinion, they're in a shorter window. I think in the next year to 2 years, they really need to start being in competition for a playoff spot, like legitimate, or else Dayton Moore is going to have to, his job's eventually going to have to be on the line. And college guys will get through the ranks faster. Just to me, I would be a huge fan of Kumar Rocker.
If he fell, man, I think honestly I would probably pass out, wake up, and then immediately probably try to find a way to buy a jersey. I'm a big Kumar Rocker fan. I think his presence on the mound is just, it just radiates domination. I'm not too overly concerned. I honestly, I'm glad his velocity was down because that did become a concern, and now there's a chance he could end up in a Royals uniform. So, just to see the way he goes out there and just, like I said, commands the game is just phenomenal. There's a few other guys, I think Ty Madden, pitcher for the Texas Longhorns, obviously, I think he raised his stock a little bit. I would be interested to see if the Royals would be interested in him. I do think he could be a comp pick, though. There's a few other guys. I just don't really – I'm not a big fan of them taking just an outfielder or someone like that. I want it to be impactful. Like you said, pitching is definitely the currency of baseball. We're seeing it with the Detroit Tigers. They literally ran out a ton of just young pitchers the other night when they were facing us. Alex Lang, local kid, shoved until he got hurt. We're seeing Casey
Mize.
Yeah. So we're seeing what they're doing with pitching as well. So I'm hoping that the Royals start to kick it in gear with that. It was nice to at least see Cohart go out there and get a few outs. But, Lynch got to come up. Lacey's right there lurking. We got some other guys that are, Heasley's coming. I was a big Jonathan Bolin fan. Obviously, he tore his Tommy John or has to get Tommy John. So that's unfortunate. But I do think we have some guys. It's just we got to get to that point. So are you excited for this minor league squad we got coming? Double-A looks like an all-star team. So
it's hilarious. Like, they're just rolling through it. I would be even Triple-A, like Escobar. Alcides Escobar is out here batting leadoff, just crushing it, batting over 300. It's hilarious. The Royals, if it was minor leagues only, like if the minor leagues were the major leagues, the Royals would be continuous World Series champions. But obviously we've seen it doesn't always transfer over. There's a lot of quad A guys, it looks like. But no, you got a lot to be hopeful for. The complete overhaul of the developmental system. the year before, I guess the year that COVID hit, and they had the whatever it was called system, so you couldn't see him play.
Yeah, yeah. God, what is that?
Yeah, thank you. I think it starts with an A.
Yeah, the extended site.
I think there's another name for it. There's another name for it, but I'm drawing a blank on it. Doesn't matter. We all know what we're talking about. Whatever that wasn't a great example of what we're going to see. Yeah. This year was basically the first year with the new overhauled developmental system in the minor leagues, and it's showing huge dividends. I mean, Nick Prado, phenomenal. Bobby Witt Jr., phenomenal. MJ Melendez has bounced back. Just to me, if this trend continues and the entire time the developmental system was part of the reason why the Royals could never develop these major league guys, this would be huge. I mean, this would be massive to see some of these young guys actually come up and live up to the potential. Because even guys like Hosmer, Moustakas, they didn't really live up. I mean, Alex Gordon didn't necessarily live up to what they were supposed to be. I mean, everyone expected Hosmer to bat 320 with 40 bombs every year. That never happened.
No.
So, I mean, maybe that was the developmental system holding them back a little bit, asking them to change too much. So just to me, the early returns are very promising.
Correct. Yeah, for sure. Alternate site.
See, I knew it was an A.
Yeah, you got it, man. You got it. And, honestly, I started questioning because a lot of people said that truly was a big portion of what fixed Nick Prado is that they revamped his swing at the alternate site. My question is, and I'm just always curious, I wonder in comparison how relative that is to like an extended spring training. Like, is that truly kind of the exact same thing? Because if so, why are we not kind of sending more guys to get that? If they truly are struggling, send them there, let them get that type of work because there's not that pressure. Like revamp them, get them going, and bring them back in, I guess. But I'm not sure on how comparable those two are.
Yes and no. Yeah, because there's no eyes on you. No one really knows what you're doing. I mean, I was even told that they weren't really keeping scores of games. It's more like just go out there and work on what you got to work on. But that's really what the minor leagues are for, and it's against competition that you're going to see in that certain level. You're probably not going to have the same level of competition at the alternate side. I mean, the guys crushing the minors the Royals always seem to have guys who crush it in the minors. I mean, Kia Kaiahui was a minor league legend. But again, I do think it comes down to the developmental process and making sure guys are ready for the next level, not getting them ready to dominate Double A. Because dominate Double A is great, but that's not what the minor leagues are really for.
For sure. Ryan O'Hearn's a perfect example of that too. I mean, the guy went out there and just crushed home runs. He actually came up to 9, hit a home run, but
yeah, he always does though. Okay, O'Hearn always comes up and like his first game up, he hits a home run, and you're like, "Is this it? Did he finally turn the page?" And he goes like 0 for 13.
He's the 4A MVP of the league, man. So yeah, but man, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I really do appreciate this. I really do. Hopefully, we can do this again, man. This was tremendous content for the people that watch this channel. Do you want to give them your Twitter handle one more time so they can go and smash that follow button?
It's at HomestretchKC on Twitter. Go ahead and follow me there. That's the easiest place to see what I'm doing. But thank you, man. This was fun. This was a blast. I love your little man cave action going on in the background. The Jayhawks kind of suck. I'm sorry.
It is football too. So yeah, man, you got me there.
No, but the Chiefs, the balls, all the cards. I like it. I like it.
Awesome, man. Well, I really do appreciate your time. Honestly, man, I know you're a busy guy, especially everything you're doing. So thank you for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys know how I end this. Appreciate you checking out the BFKC. And as always, have a good day.